Let's go! We got some mutant reworks and we got some big winners, and we gotta be realistic about what these reworks are. This is not a team. But in this video, we're gonna go over the kits, we're gonna do some gameplay, we're gonna have some fun, and hopefully you're gonna walk away with one X-Men in mind that you want to build to help elevate your roster. Without further ado, let's get into it. Alright guys, we're going to go over their kits as quickly as possible so we can get to the gameplay footage, because I think there is clearly some winners and some losers, but it doesn't really show in the changes. It actually shows in the gameplay when you see them in action. So for Colossus, 62% health increase, 60% damage, 40 armor, 114% focus, resistance by nearly 30%. His basic actually now does a lot of damage if Kitty Pryde's on the team. 50% damage and applying defense down and slow for 2 turns. Very impactful with 1000% extra focus. So he's doing some pretty good damage now with Kitty Pryde. The special will now also apply counter and defense up for 2 turns to all X-Men allies. His ultimate will now call in a random Kitty Pryde ally to attack the primary target, so it's no longer just like, hey, I got buffs now. It's also, hey, you got some damage now. And Kitty Pryde will gain additional damage for this. If Kitty Pryde's not an ally, it'll call a random X-Men ally to do the attack instead, which is at least some damage. Then the passive, no big change for Colossus, except it's applying defense up for 2 turns to self and all X-Men allies. Absent Magic and Phoenix, they no longer need to be on the team. And then Kitty Pryde will gain 20% max health, so lots of synergy there. Jubilee, she's a much bigger winner into this rework, so her health, 66%, her damage, 60%, that's a huge change. Armor by 22, focus by 37, resistance by 30. Her basic is still what it used to be. It's 70% chance outside of raise to put blinds. It happens on her ISO attack, it happens on her assists. Keep that in mind. So, her special, the big change, it applies offense up to all X-Men allies now. It used to only be on Astonishing and I believe Wolverine. But that's for everybody now. So think X-Treme, think Unlimited. A lot of good use there. Her ultimate no longer needs to happen in raids. She will do the offense down for 2 turns. So now her ultimate, her opening ability, super impactful. Speed bar with 25% reduction for her enemy, plus stun, plus slow to all enemies, plus the offense down for 2 turns to all enemies. This is a great opening ability. And then her passive, this is where she got the most remarkable change, right? So it's now on this character and each X-Men ally's turn. Again, this used to only be Wolverine and Astonishing X-Men. Now it's everybody. So again, think X-Treme, think Unlimited. Lots of good stuff can happen there. We got regens from Forge. We have extra charges for Sunspot. If Jubilee gets called for the assist when it's their turn, we got some blinds. Nightcrawler's doing damage. Gambit's doing damage. So lots of cool synergy there as well. And I think in Crucible, Dazzler, if she crits, she does a blind too, right? So if you have the Unlimited with Jubilee, that's a lot of blinds, potential blinds that could just be flying around, costing the enemy efficiency and possibly getting a win. All right, Kitty Pryde. We got health by 116, damage by 76, armor by 34, focus by 51, resistance by 38. I think this is the most dramatic damage change we've ever seen. 76%, so that's pretty cool. Her basic will now apply speed up for 2 turns to Colossus and another X-Men ally with the least speed bar that does not have speed up. If Colossus and ally does additional damage, and it gets extra focus to clear those positive effects. That's pretty cool. You'd want her as a striker, I guess, to take advantage of this. But, I mean, you'll see in the gameplay footage. Colossus, Kitty, and Phoenix, pretty disappointing. Kind of hard to make them work in the current meta. We'll talk about that when we get to the end of this, these changes. Her special will now do offense down to everybody, including the taunt that it flips. She will gain the speed bar regardless if there was an enemy that had taunt or not. And now she's going to heal and apply evade to the most injured ally. That's going to carry over to her ultimate as well. She will also do a heal and apply evade to the most injured ally. But now she's doing defense up for 2 turns and immunity for 2 turns to all X-Men. And the disrupt is for 2 turns instead of 1. It is still unavoidable, still cannot be blocked. Very, very interesting ability. This is where I think the most intrigue for Kitty Pryde comes. So she applies defense up for 2 turns to the most injured X-Men ally on turn, on enemy turn. In War and Crucible, 20% chance to apply evade to the most injured X-Men ally. When you think about the X-Treme team in Crucible or War, if that evade can just sap some efficiency, or if it could allow Gambit to reach his ultimate, or Forge to reach his ultimate, or Nightcrawler to ultimate, then it's a very, very useful dodge. Now, 20% chance isn't the biggest chance in the world, but RNG in the hands of the AI is always more than written on paper. And the rest we don't care about because it was raids. All right, then we got Phoenix. Y'all are going to be a little disappointed when it comes to Phoenix, unfortunately. So her stat changes were great. 135% health, 50% damage, 102 armor, 47 focus, and resistance. Now, you're looking at the health change like, why? We don't want her to live. Well, now her special is really cool. So she's actually going to heal X-Men allies by 25% of her max health. So that that health increase is nice. And then if there's 2 or more X-Men allies, she's actually going to do an attack on her special, and she'll spread all negative effects, excluding stun and trauma, from this character to the primary. That's right, we now have a use for ISO when it comes to Phoenix. You can make her a striker to do an additional attack, or you can make her a skirmisher to get a vulnerable out, make sure those effects do spread to the primary target. So I think that's really cool. Definitely adding some value to Phoenix there when it comes to ISO. Her ultimate got a little change too, so she'll clear negative effects from self and all X-Men allies, and 2 negative effects from all other allies. So if your opponent circumvents the stealth that she just put out on her special, they can't ignore her, because then she will do some nice cleansing. Then we got the passive. So on spawn, she'll apply defense up to self and all X-Men allies. So if you don't have Colossus, you still have a source of defense up. And now she's going to give X-Men allies 150% damage and not 115%. She'll give X-Men allies 15% damage and 15% max health. Then there's the Dark Phoenix changes, which, yeah, I really wish they just increased her Dark Phoenix's speed by, like, make her 130, make her a threat, you know what I mean? But you'll see in the gameplay footage, she's still a little bit too slow. Health by 91%, damage by 31, focus by 41, resistance by 44, so no change to armor. When she does her special, she'll apply regeneration to all allies now. And if she has 2 or more X-Men allies, she's going to gain speed up. So it does kind of help her get to her ultimate. And it doesn't show her ultimate changes for some reason, but her ultimate also got changed. So when she has 2 or more X-Men allies, she will gain 3 energy when she does her ultimate, which means that she can do her special, then she does her ultimate, and then she does her special right away again. So I think that might have more PvE implications. 40% damage across the 3 abilities, plus the damage it'll do when she does her ultimate. So there's something there, but I couldn't really make it work against the current meta. All right, and then the passive of her Dark Phoenix form. She now gains 5,000% extra focus when she pops out into Dark Phoenix, so that defense down is much more likely to land. And if there's 4 or more allies with stealth, she'll gain stealth. It basically means when she dies and all of her allies are still in stealth, she's kind of a sitting duck, and then she dies and she never does her special, never does her ultimate. That's going to protect her and put her into stealth. All right, X-23, the clear winner of this change, in my opinion, which you cannot tell from the paper, but you can in-game. Health by 37, damage by 64, armor by 40, focus by 38, resistance by 105. So the basic is now going to do heal block and bleed for 2 turns. It'll also give evade +1 up to a maximum of 3. So ISO attack, I do believe, gives you an additional evade here, which is really cool, but maybe we don't want a striker. Wait till we see the passive. So the special, this is why she's so much better than she used to be. It used to be she needed to block or dodge to do the bonus attack and apply the ability block. Now she doesn't have to. She will always bonus attack, do the damage, and apply ability block. And that's just a really quick ability block, especially if somebody is dropping low, as we'll see when we get to her passive. She's then going to gain stealth and death proof. This is new. This is very important. Once again, once we get to that passive. And it's important to note this attack is unavoidable, cannot be blocked, and gains 10,000% extra focus. It always did, but it was hard to kind of line this up into a deflect / dodge. Now it'll always happen, which is huge. It's really, really big, and it's going to make her a great plug-and-play character absent X-Men characters, which is where I'm going to be using her. All right, the ultimate, the big change is when she has 2 or more X-Force or X-Men allies, she'll apply bleed on each attack, and the last bonus attack will apply trauma to the target. I'm not going to be trying to force this, but there is a Deadpool rework coming around the corner. We do have some interesting X-Men allies, but I do think the main value of X-23 is going to come from leaning into her passive and teams that help facilitate her passive. So the big part of her passive is what it used to be still. When an enemy drops below 50% health, she fills speed bar by 40%. That is more than any other character in the game. Squirrel Girl only gets 30, Beast gets 30, and the Symbiotes only get 30%, and they need a different health trigger, the Symbiotes do. Symbiotes need the enemies to drop to 30%, X-23 only needs 50. When this character health drops below 50% life, she'll gain evades, and then while this character has stealth, gain 50% crit chance. And just remember, on her special, she's now putting herself into stealth right here. Stealth plus 3 death roofs. So she's going to get that 50% extra crit chance. Maybe you want to make her as a raider, so her turn meter is going to go like there. Sorry, her turn sequence is going to go like this. She specials, she gets stealth, she ults, she has the ability to hit stealth targets, circumventing a lot of issues, and now she's going to be doing 50% crit chance, so make her a raider, get a bunch of extra damage out there. Or if we find a way to put her with 2 X-Men / X-Force characters, getting that bleed, that'll be a lot of damage there too. That'll be really, really cool. The big problem with these reworks, and I'm sure you guys have noticed, no speed change to X-23, no speed change to Phoenix, no speed change to Kitty Pryde, no speed change to Jubilee, and no speed change to Colossus. And what this basically means is that they are sitting ducks in the current meta. This is not a team. We're going to show that in the gameplay here in a second. This is not a team to build as a team. This is 5 characters to build who you want basically to throw in with your X-Treme team, and maybe who you want to try and make unlimited a thing again, which I don't think will happen. I think there's still going to be one mega mutant team, and it'll be surrounding X-Treme, Rogue, and possibly one of these characters. I think that's what we're going to lean into. Anyway, let's go check out the gameplay footage. You can see it for yourselves. What I want to do real quickly, I really want to like drive home. This is not a team. This 5-person rework is not meant to be a team. If you try and shoehorn that in, it's not going to have good benefit for you. So I'm taking the 5-person. We're doing a 300k punch down up against. It's just some random team that was on the playtest. It's not going to be a very interesting matchup. But it's unlimited with Sunspot. Not a very strong team. And the reason I'm doing this is because the War offense and defense, the same with Crucible offense and defense teams we have, they're very strong. And what they do is a lot of speed stuff. With this team, aside from X-23, we're not really getting any sort of on-spawn or first turn speed advantage. And that causes a lot of issues for this team. So this team, these characters. Once again, this is not a team. If you try and force this to be a team, you're going to have bad results. All right, but let's keep going anyway. I have won this matchup like one out of every 20 times. It's not a team. That's all I'm trying to say. All right, so Phoenix is now gone. She's back. She'll do some percentage damage. And right here, this is bad synergy. So Dark Phoenix just pushed. Somebody's following me? Random. We're not streaming right now. Dark Phoenix just pushed Sunspot, Dazzler, and Rogue to 50% life, but our X-23 doesn't get the speed bar because that is percentile damage. Abilities that do percentile damage don't really help you in that regard. So right there, I think that kind of shows there's like anti-synergy between some of these characters. At least Colossus here is probably going to get a push. That gives X-23 some speed bar, so that's great. But we've already lost Jubilee, so we now lose our assists. The enemy team is definitely going to start running roughshod over us. Unfortunately, I didn't even show Phoenix, but her ultimate does give the energy here. And death. All right, so it's not meant to be a team. Let's go look at another example of them sort of as plug-and-play characters instead. All right, so here we are. We're going to do an X-Treme mirror matchup. I know this is a big punch down. I'm sorry. The testing parameters we have on the playtest, they're not great. But I know the mirror matchup can be pretty ugly, and I know that some of these characters have some interesting interactions with X-Men, particularly Jubilee, with a bunch of assists, the ability to blind, turn meter rewind, turn meter gain, offense up, slows, offense down. She's doing a lot. And we think about this team, we think about a character like Cyclops. He's not doing all that much, right? So let's go through it here. Cyclops, he's a good damage dealer. He can get revived off, but unfortunately, he's not really that X-Men leader we want. So let's go ahead, and we got the Sunspot in a good position, but we want to go for the Forge. So let's get the ability block over there. You see these assists are coming in and doing really, really good damage as well. I could put an ability block over here on the Cyclops at this point, so he can't ult us, can't give us slow. And so you see, Cyclops is a very slow character, and he doesn't do something like an ability block, like a stun, like something interesting. And because he doesn't do those things, it leaves a window for him to get plugged out and somebody else to go better, at least for the mirror matchup, but also for other matches where instead of just having brute force damage, you want to finesse your way through matches. And this game is mostly about finesse. You mostly win this game in the first turns, depending on how you played it out, right? All right, so what can I do here? Well, I could just go ahead and stun the Forge, do a nice little turn meter rewind, plus the offense down and slow to the rest of his members. And so that's going to shut the Forge down, and then we start to get going. Forge dies. Watch Jubilee's speed bar. She'll gain that 25%, so she's going to take a lot more turns than someone like Cyclops would. All right, there we go. Let's get rid of the Sunspot. These assists are actually doing a lot more for us than we think. Jubilee had an assist there. If I had chosen someone else, I could have got a blind out. It looks like Nightcrawler's probably doing the assist right now, but it doesn't matter because I'm about to give everybody offense up, and we're going to murder this Cyclops, right? There we go, some more speed bar to our Jubilee once again. Who's got the assist this time? Looks like it's probably Nightcrawler again. Let's let this fly. Gambit's now gone. Nightcrawler comes in for the assist, takes him out. So you can see there is definitely some interesting interactions there. Let's run it back with Phoenix. All right, so here we go. We're going to run it back with Phoenix. It's still a punch-up, a little bit less of a punch-up, though. And we'll see if Phoenix is going to get to do her interesting abilities or if she's just going to fall over dead. Because she's still very squishy, as she should be. You do want to get to the point where you have the Dark Phoenix out sooner rather than later, right? All right, so same thing. Let's go ahead. We'll stun the Sunspot. So go ahead and put the ability block over here on the Forge. Cyclops is going to give, defense down. I guess Sunspot didn't ult, so he didn't get to go. Let's get these dodges off over here. Alright, so we got a lot of nasty debuffs. Let's go ahead and cleanse it. I almost don't want to cleanse it so I can show you Phoenix cleansing it. But this is the whole problem with Phoenix, right? And the rest of the team besides X-23. Very slow characters. So when they actually start doing what their interesting part is to do, it's a little bit too late, at least in my opinion. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's do the special here. Let's put everyone in stealth besides the Phoenix. Hopefully we can get the Phoenix to die quickly here. Let's go ahead and throw the ult up from Nightcrawler. It is nice that she takes all the pressure off of the X-Treme team until that happens, of course. There we go. So Phoenix is now gone. She comes back. There's the ultimate from Forge. Very annoying. Just so you guys know I wasn't fibbing, we'll look at her ultimate. If this character has 2 or more X-Men allies, generate 3 ability energy for herself. So what this means is she can do her special. This does not activate passives, which is not good for X-23, but is good for the majority of characters. Then, unfortunately, too much damage comes in from the Cyclops. We'll see if we can't get through this Forge. He did get his revive off, which is turbo bad for us. Striker attack should get the Forge gone. That's good. We do got to start being concerned about what this Gambit is going to do to us if we let him take yet another turn. So right away, you can kind of see like the slows from Jubilee, the offense down from Jubilee, the stun from Jubilee. It's a lot more impactful than something that Phoenix brings. Phoenix just brings this raw damage, which you may be able to find a use for, but it's going to be a little tough. All right, so Phoenix just got demolished. Let's see if she can survive long enough to be useful here. I think Gambit might be about to kill her, though. Oh, good little heal comes through there. So Phoenix ult will do some interesting stuff, right? It's going to peel off buffs. Did not have enough damage to kill the Cyclops, but we still get it done. Now she's got energy. She can do her special again. Did this look as interesting as the Jubilee one? I don't think so. I think that there's a lot missing here to make Phoenix kind of the character we want her to be. Now, does that mean we're not going to be able to find some use for a 3-piece like Phoenix, Kitty, Colossus, maybe with some other interesting characters? I don't necessarily think that's ruled out. But right now, I'm really only looking at Jubilee and X-23. Let's go look at why I think X-23 is kind of an interesting character. And we can do that by going straight to this Pegasus team. I'll take Hive Mind in there. And the problem with Hive Mind, and I'm not saying X-23 is going to go with Hive Mind here. Definitely not. I just want to show that X-23 does the sort of thing Hive Mind does, but does it better, more interesting, and does have some interesting mechanic loopholes that she can lean into. This could absolutely go bad if Void Knight doesn't get enough flips here. Yeah, okay, we got enough flips. Now what we want to do is we want to push one character to 50% life, and if we do that, X-23 will go. So here we go. Bam. We actually pushed to 30%. Let's pretend we're now in a world where it didn't push the Ironheart to minus 30%. Instead, it just pushed her to between 31 and 49%. Well, then X-23 would go. She would do absolutely devastating damage. She would get the final push all the way to sub 30%, activate the Hive Mind team, and they can pop off. But again, this isn't, I don't think we're going to be putting X-23 with Hive Mind. I don't think that Hive Mind needs that. I think there's other interesting characters you can do with that instead. But instead, what I'm probably going to be looking to do with my X-23 is put her with like a really, really fast team, like A-Force or like an Eternal team, somebody that pops off really hard, drops a lot of people to 50% really quickly, and we can go from there. Because what you're not seeing here, which is where I think the most interest lies for me personally with X-23 is she will bypass something like stealth. Like her ultimate will actually go for stealth targets, assuming they are the lowest health enemy, right? So let's see, X-23, she probably got crazy amount of speed bar. She's a near 50% life. Ugh, the basic just wasn't quite enough to push the Iron Heart there. This will push. This will give our X-23 a bunch of speed bar. See, we didn't get to 30%, but that's fine because X-23 got some. And then we get to go from there. So I'm interested to know what you guys think about this. How are you feeling about this? These 5 character reworks, definitely not a team, but X-23 looks super promising to me. It doesn't really showcase it here, but I just wanted to kind of show she's got that same speed shenanigan game going on. And how do you feel about Jubilee and Phoenix? I think that there might be some news. I'd be interested to know if something immediately jumped out to you guys. Let me know in the comment sections below. But until then, stay happy, healthy, and have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye for now. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.